85K BTC. The market is green. Why is it green before Trump's Liberation Day? So, guys, we're looking at this quite closely here. Is this a fake out? Is this a fake pump to the upside? We're going to deal with the current Bitcoin situation. We're going to give you my view. We might be looking for a couple of shorts in the next hour or so. So much to talk about here today. We've got loads of alt updates as well. Let's get right into it. Guys, and remember, as always, hit that like, hit the bell, and hit the subscribe. And here's James. He's back. Welcome back from your vacation. He's got his Superman shirt on, I believe. There it is.
The pump, okay. Yeah, the fake pump.
He's enjoying the fake pump. He's calling it fake pump. Guys, let us know in the poll. I'm doing a poll at the moment in the chats. Let us know. Is this a fake pump? Are we mooning it from here? I want to see how you guys are feeling. Teddy says pump it. So Teddy's feeling quite positive about this. I'd say Banter Bubbles is feeling quite positive about this. Unless you are Dex or Dexy, whatever the fuck that is, minus 17%. WAL, don't know what that is, 22% up, but green all round. The Sui trader mine is absolutely ripping. Now, starting a couple of head shorts at play at the moment, and we're going to go into this in detail because a lot of the tokens we looked at yesterday have now moved into, or they've pushed through those current rejection bear zones that we spoke about. So these are the TP zones. These are the head short plays that we need to be looking at. And Cosmos says Trump will rug us tomorrow. I have no doubt that Trump is going to rug us somehow, in some way, shape or form. He's going to rug us, but is it now? So just before we jump into the charts, I see Make Money, Travel, Enjoy, calling it a fake pump. Look, I'm inclined to say, now, yesterday I had a view. I said I wanted to see the market dumping into this Liberation Day because then I really felt we were going to rip. I really felt the market was going to pump. But what concerns me is the market is now pumping into Liberation Day. Is the market pre-pricing in something that Trump is going to say that is bullish? So by the time we get to this Liberation Day and it's a so-so event, is there going to be a sell-off even if the news is a little bit flat? Okay, so those are my concerns at the moment. James, well, not concerns, but what are you feeling about this stinker at the moment? What are we looking at?
Well, I mean, he's coming out with this stuff tomorrow. Now, there's all sorts of stuff online, and today is so dangerous. It's April Fool's. There's so much bullshit on Twitter, right? This whole the fake tweet from Trump saying that all tariffs are gone, everything's gone, and people were going nuts over that. Well, that's quite obviously fake.
Yeah, I mean, is this fake?
No, I'm pretty sure. I mean, the guy wears unicorn t-shirts and carries a purse. I don't think that's fake.
We'll talk about it just now. Okay. Let's get into BTC. Then we're gonna hear James' cynical views on a couple of things going out there. I always enjoy the commentary. And Panda's in the chat going twap. I don't know what twap is supposed to mean there, Panda, bro. Okay, let's go. BTC. What the fuck is going on here? Is this pump sustainable? So, trying a couple of head shorts at all of these big zones, and I'm trying again on BTC. Typical head short play here for us. You can see we've got a reaction. This is our VWAP at the highs. It's our 0.5. It's not an amazing area, but for me, if we could do something here on BTC and just get some kind of reversal, that could be a nice little move there in terms of a rejection on BTC. So in terms of areas of interest for me, 85K, we are here right now. Then we've got another banger to the upside. Call it 85.9 to 86K. That is, for me, quite a serious hitter here. 618, 200-day MA, horizontals as well. So that makes sense to me as well as a potential rejection. So 86K and 85, where we are right now, anywhere in this type of region, I feel we could get some kind of roll over here on BTC. We can see on the 2 hour, we are printing our reversals. So what we want to see now is some kind of divergence come out. So you want to see the price go higher, but you want to see the oscillator start printing a lower high. And that normally gives us the clues that things may or may not be falling over. So these oscillators are pretty reliable. You can see they gave us that move yesterday, and you can see today they gave us an inverse head and shoulders there and a little pumpy. So yeah, possible reversals for me. 86K, 85K where we are now. Now, if we want to get a little bit more excitable to the upside, let's just bang out a trend here. You can see why this 86 region is starting to look pretty interesting to me for some kind of upside move. There's even a little bit of trend action in that zone, and I think perfectly reasonable if it does drop back a little bit lower and then gives us some kind of pullback there on the event. Now, in just finishing the upside zones, this is one of my concerns. Now, it's not necessarily a concern, but it's one of the things why I'm not aping fucking, excuse my language, full bag into a short here. Excuse my language there, James. Excuse me. I'm a little bit excited about it. But look at this liquidity to the upside. This is the 7-day liquidation heat map. I don't want to shoot my full shot, aping in to max size here, when you can see there's a lot of liquidity sitting here. 88, 89K.
Juicy.
Yes, hey?
Juicy. Man, that does look inviting.
Extremely juicy.
It does look juicy. If you were a market maker and you saw that, I mean, it's not even working. Not even working.
Juicy, extremely juicy.
There it is. If you're a market maker and you saw that over there, I mean, it looks like an easy grab. So that for me, we're going to look at this now. 88 to 90K looks pretty inviting. Now, the lower band is here at 85K. You can see we are sitting at that region right now on BTC. This is that first zone. That 88 to 90K that we looked at is another visit to Monday's high. I just want to point this out. And the hackers guys got this on my update earlier today. This is Monday's high from last week. We've got so much in the way here, including that liquidity that you have seen. We've got VWAPs, we got 50-day MA, we got 382, we got Monday highs. There's a lot going on here at this 89 to 90K region. And ooh la la, says Matt Griffith, 89 to 90. Look, it's possible that Bitcoin squeezes there. So again, that's why I'm not aping full clip here on this BTC, but I do suspect at some point we are going to get a little something special in terms of a reversal on BTC. Okay, so that is that on Bitcoin. Let's look at downside levels. If we reject now, what is our main level that we're going to be watching? 84,000. I'd keep my eyes on that. That makes the most sense for me. So 84K, why is that interesting? You've got some VWAP action here. You've got your 382 from the upside as well. And you've got nice horizontals. That will also be a retest of this head and shoulders that you can see started playing out earlier today. So that's a nice little area there. If they do drop us into that zone, 84K does make a little bit of sense to me as well on some kind of bullish pullback. Okay, so that's the short-term scenario that we are looking at the moment. Now we're going to jump into Bitcoin on the daily and weekly as well in some detail. And we're going to cover a lot of those things. But first things first, let's look at the news. Let's see what's going on. 24-hour wrecked. I'm a little bit disappointed in these figures. What are these rookie numbers here? $240 million wrecked at the moment. That's absolute rookie numbers in the last 24 hours. I must say, I expected a lot more than that in these current conditions, especially after that little flush out we had about an hour and a half ago. There was actually quite a big rejection on a lot of altcoins, and one of them was Sonic that we saw earlier. I was talking about it on my accelerator workshop. That thing dripped from the hot zone, just dropped 4% very quickly before it reversed. So there were a lot of short-term dips to the downside, and this is how sometimes these people are feeling.
We tried, right?
I tried.
We did our best. That's all
Well,
that
I
matters.
did my best.
I did my best.
Maybe next year we'll come back and try it
Maybe
again.
next year. I'll come back and I'll try it next year.
Next year, James, we're coming back
Right.
next year.
2026. It's over, man.
We're gonna try.
I
again.
tried.
Okay, you tried. But anyway, guys, look at this. Meme Master says, I'm so excited for Liberation Day. 1,000% tariffs for everybody. Here's a tariff for you. Here's a tariff for you. Here's a tariff for you. And this is, we don't want to call it an April Fool's joke, but fuck, it feels like it at the moment. Now, let's get serious here. Long-term look at U.S. tariffs. This is Jim Bianco talking about if Trump's imposed tariffs to date are permanent. And he's pulled out a chart. Now, he's gone back to 1830 here on this chart. But if Trump's tariffs come out the way he wants them to, or the way he's saying they are going to, they're taking us to levels higher than the 1960s in terms of these tariffs. So it's territory that hasn't been looked at for a very long time. And now I'm not a macroeconomist. I'm not an economist. I can't tell you exactly how this is all going to work, but I don't think it's a good starting point. I think maybe if it's a long-term play, and we discussed about, these Republicans having to be in multiple terms here, maybe that can start playing out. But in terms of a short-term hit, I don't know if this is the best situation. And this was a reminder. This is Trump in August 5th, 2024. Okay, what does he have to say? What did he have to say? When was that? 7-8 months ago. Stock markets are crashing. Jobs numbers are terrible. We are heading to World War III. What? and we have two of the most incompetent leaders in history. This is not good. This is what Trump was saying 9 months ago. But is this not just a repeat of what's happening right now? Okay, well, I don't know. Let's take a look. So in terms of these trade wars, now we know there's a lot going on. Maybe James can just fill us in with a couple of others as well. But this thing here, the 𝗵𝗍 letter saying China, Japan, South Korea jointly respond to the U.S. tariff as President Trump April 2nd reciprocal tariff day nears. Now they getting together. They're clubbing together. Hey James, these guys are now going to respond and do their own situation. What's the juice thing?
Well, that's it. I mean, everybody's speculating on what the hell's going on here and what's going to happen. But getting China, Japan, and South Korea to meet to have trade talks, that's unprecedented. They haven't been able to come to an agreement in decades. And right? Now because of territorial disputes and all the rest of it, they never come to an agreement. But Trump's forcing people to look for other avenues because their economies are going to be destroyed. They've got their own people to worry about. They've got to do something here.
And now Mexico as well, they coming with a response. I don't know. If I was Mexico, I wouldn't really do that. But
no.
You know.
But the problem is Trump can't go and do this to all of these countries, and all the countries just go, okay, it's fine. Because they have their own citizens that are going to be screaming, and this is just a pissing match that isn't going to end well.
Well, it's just becoming an ego situation. It's like if you're caught in the wrong trade and you convinced that you are right and you want to keep fucking adding margin, excuse my language again, but like feels like one of them. Mexico, I don't know.
Well, and look at the whole Canadian situation. The interim prime minister, he's just temporary. He's not elected. He was placed there by the party. There was an election due, I think it was September is when it was supposed to happen. He's called it early. April 28th is the election. So he's got to come off strong, placate Canadians, tell them what they want to hear in order to get elected, right? And so he can't just go, okay, well, Trump did all this. Canadians are fired up about it. This guy rolls over. Well, that's not going to happen. So he's got to come out strong. And that's it. This doesn't end tomorrow. And that's where this 𝗂𝗍 letter wrote a good article last week saying lots of investors think that tomorrow is finally the end of uncertainty. I think it's just the beginning. Because now we're going to get this piss and match back and forth. Mexico's announced that Thursday potentially is the earliest that they're going to put reciprocal tariffs, and they're going to come up with their own set of tariffs. Every other country's going to do that. This is going to get ugly here for a bit.
This is what's going on with the market. This you've actually hit the nail on the head. The market is pricing in that certainty is coming tomorrow, and they're getting excited. Okay, yeah, that makes sense to me. Okay, that's something I can talk about. I like that shit. Okay, let's look at the S&P. Now, this S&P is ripping. So I actually closed my long about an hour and a half ago. I closed my long on the S&P. Now, it was a beautiful little move. This was our target, 5,500. That's where we wanted the move. Okay, so we got the move. I didn't want to get too greedy on this thing. I'm still not expecting much higher than 5,660 or 5,750. That's pretty much where I am at the moment. I'm looking for that lower high because I really feel like these things are going to roll over now, pumping into tomorrow. Okay, so Make Money, Travel, Enjoy says this is going on at least till autumn. And Ken's talking about April Fools. Now, guys, maybe this is an inverted chart. Maybe it's not. But anyway, what I'm looking at here, lower high still on the S&P. So I'm out of that long. We'll look for another play a little bit lower or when we get some kind of pullback. So as you can see, I've closed that S&P long. I'm still long Meta. That was my limit order that I set, I don't know, 2 weeks ago when we discussed that Meta trade. We finally hit our bounce zone. And NVIDIA, I'm remaining short. I do believe the market is going to fall over a little bit further. So I'm keeping that short going on NVIDIA at the moment. I'm trading all of this on BTCC, guys. Don't forget, there's a trading comp starting in the next couple of days on BTCC. And you can join me, and we're trading solely stocks and things like that on BTCC at the moment. But you send your crypto there, and then you can trade all these tokens, including things like MicroStrategy and Coinbase as well. You could trade. So you just send your tokens, you send your USDT there, and you trade it like a normal exchange. You can see I'm running 20x leverage here on these things, but it's a crypto trading platform. Okay, so everything I talk about, guys, is in the show description. Just go more, click on more. You can see everything is here for you in the menu below. You will find it there waiting for you. So that is BTCC. Now, let's talk Meta. And look, I've closed one long, the S&P. That was nice profit. So Meta, let's see if we can get a little bit more out of it. But no changes to my current view in terms of what's happening with Meta. You can see we're in a sharp downtrend at the moment. So if we do pump, I'm not expecting too much. I'm looking for something along these lines potentially on this Meta. So I'm going to let this one run a little bit more. It is interesting to me that it has broken above the 200-day MA. And we know these TradFi traders, they love a 200 200-day MA. They love this thing, and they make a lot of decisions off that. So nice to see Meta is trying to break above that 200-day MA. That might spark a little bit more bullish move from those traders into something like that. So maybe 610 for me makes a bit of sense. If you're looking for a safe stop loss zone from yesterday's long, you could probably go away with 568 now. That's going to be your low off today's daily candle. So 568, you can use something along those lines there on that one. And then in terms of NVIDIA, no changes to this plan. So if you guys are trading this with me, I'm not exiting this yet. You can see bearish loss of trend, retest. Now we are looking for a lower push down, 99, 95, somewhere in that area. If we drop a bit lower, I am going to be grabbing some profits there on that one. And then new longs for me at 92 looks about right. Somewhere in that region, we're going to get some kind of bounce there. I'd say 10-15% bounce out of this NVIDIA, I would expect. 𝗏𝗏𝗃 says more fuckery coming up. Guys, I wouldn't be surprised. And that is why we've had so much fun longing and shorting the market, because that is just the best you can do in these types of messy conditions. And we're doing that tons in the chart hackers. I've got such an amazing team in there, just smashing shorts and longs all day long for you guys. We're having an absolute blast in there. Orange lies matter. What the fuck's going on here? Okay. Let's go. Let's get into stuff. Okay, let's go Bitcoin on the daily. Why is this interesting to me? This is our Bitcoin daily chart, and I suspect there's a couple of things here at play, and just listen to my theory, and then you see if you agree with this stuff or not. Okay, so firstly, we've got this flag. You can see we had a bear flag rising. What happened? We've lost the bear flag. So all we're doing now is we're retesting this bear flag and then potentially going to drop further down. So that is how I'm viewing it. If we go back test bear flags and things like this in trends, I would say time and time again, you get the retest, people get a little bit bullish, and then they come and there's a long squeeze and they come and drop you to the downside. So in terms of the daily, you can see we're not too fussed on being exactly where we can get that kind of short, but something along these lines in that area. And according to this, it's even 87 to 88K makes sense to me potentially. But then if we take into account this liquidity here, you can see this region up here, up to 89K. And no, man, surely not. This must be April Fool's here. You can see up to 89K, there's lots of liquidity there to the upside. So if we go back to the Bitcoin daily chart, you can see what is the ultimate trap for retail traders. What is the ultimate move here for market makers? Does it look something like this? Okay, does it look something like this? We pump through here. We take out that liquidity at 89K. The whole world goes, we are so back. We've broken a daily trend. Bull market's on. It's ready, and bang. Okay, we go back. Sorry. Oh, I got a bit ahead of myself there. Something along these lines. Okay, so we both blow through that region. Everyone screams me back. They late long fucking everything on that trend break, and we end up down there. Okay, going back to 70K. So that would be the ultimate max pain scenario for me that I think could play out if people get a little bit too ahead of themselves. I mean, how many times have you seen trend breakouts that are called fake outs that don't actually play out? So look out for that move. Look out for 89.90. That is a problem zone for me on BTC. No matter how you try and frame that thing, that is a danger zone for us. Okay, so you've got lower time frame and you've got daily charts from me. Remember, all these charts go straight into Chart Hackers directly after the show. And also, if you are enjoying the content,
treat the like button like Michael Jackson. Just beat it.
There you go. Okay, let's get into some things. Now let's talk altcoins. And obviously I like to go through altcoins systematically. I like to look at dominance, and then we start looking at ETH and things like that. And in terms, JR, how are you doing, sir? And in terms of dominance, you can see dominance is actually broken major horizontal. Okay, so that should actually be an altcoin warning bell for us. Is this the start of a situation where Bitcoin rejects quite hard and this dominance starts ripping? Now, if that is going to happen, guys, you better hold your hats on some of those altcoins, and I'm going to give you those potential reaction and short zones for these alts so that you can be well prepared in case that scenario plays out. Okay, so if you get a hard Bitcoin pump and then we get a monster rejection at those levels that we've spoken about, you might see a situation where this dominance keeps climbing, the alts get absolutely wrecked, okay, and rinsed. So this is obviously a concern for me. So in terms of altcoins getting bullish, well, what you want to see is you want to see dominance falling over, and that helps your alts pump a little bit. Now, in terms of where alts can get in trouble, 62%. We spoke about that today in Chart Hackers as a potential danger zone on alts. We saw a lot of alts sitting at resistance, and we've got now dominance bouncing off that. Then another TP zone, or a zone where you need to be careful with altcoins if they are running, 61.8%. Watch that. And then your next level, 61.4%. Watch that area. What am I talking about here? Well, basically, if dominance drops onto those zones, you're probably going to find the altcoins start outperforming Bitcoin. And now, if Bitcoin is flat or going up, these alts rip. They start popping off. A little bit of FOMO comes in. Now, the purpose of these levels I've just given you is where you probably get a bounce in dominance. And that means that Bitcoin starts getting favored over the altcoins. And that often turns into danger zones for these alts. Okay, so that is why there's so much relevance to me on this dominance chart. So I'll drop that in Chart Hackers for you guys. But look out. Those are your danger zones there in terms of altcoins. And now something we haven't looked at in a while is our total 3. This is the crypto total market cap excluding Bitcoin and ETH. So it's looking at tons of shit coins excluding Bitcoin and ETH. So this gives you a nice representation of the altcoin market. And you can see, like, it's difficult to get super bullish in these scenarios. Look at this. We've just in a beautiful little downtrend. So even if we do start pumping a little bit to that type of level, you know, for me, this thing could still potentially grind a lot lower for us. So in terms of total 3, it's fair call to say we are sitting on support at 750 billion. So that is reasonable to say, cool, 750 billion support. If we hold that, yes, we can start grinding higher. The market can turn super bullish, but I'm not feeling super bullish on the current situation. So we're taking bits and pieces what the market gives us. We're looking for head shorts. We're TPing where we can, and we just make sure we're being super cautious. Now, remember, the big test is going to be if this total 3 starts losing this major trend on the weekly and we close underneath. Well, guys, it's a death sentence, and these alts are going to get rinsed. You're going to find Bitcoin at 60K, things like that in that type of level on total 3. So I was feeling Epic says, give me more pain. I love that kinky shit, guy. It's something about being a leverage trader, though. Eh? There's something euphoric about sitting in a loss and then that thing turning green, and then you're like, it's such a good feeling. It's almost like we like that torture. But anyway, so guys, watching 750, that's our support on total 3. If that holds, we good. Now, I want to point out the biggest retail thing in history, which is the death cross. Okay, be careful of the death cross. What is the death cross? The death cross is the 50-day moving average crossing over the 200-day, or whether it's to the upside or to the downside. So a golden cross would be the 50 crossing over the 200. Look at that. What happened when the 50 crossed over the 200? Turned super bullish. The market absolutely pumped. What happens here? We've now got the red, which is the 50-day MA, about to cross over the 200-day MA. Now, what typically happens in these situations is you get a pump into a death cross, you get a dump into a golden cross, and that's pretty much how these things play out. So I wouldn't be surprised if we pump these altcoins into the death cross and then everything starts falling over and we get that game plan, or we get that starting to play out. So remember, the 50-day crossing over the 200-day is bearish. Okay, if it's falling down to the downside, that's basically telling us the trend is shifting to the lows. Okay, so that is something that you need to pay attention to. And Lua Frey says, yep, us leverage traders are mentally unstable. 100%. I'm totally mentally unstable, and my wife actually calls me emotionally retarded. But I think you need to be a leverage trader. I mean, am I wrong?
We all.
I think we're all emotionally retarded. Okay, fine. And Rob says leverage is torture. Okay, well, so is being emotionally retarded. Okay, let's talk about my favorite token on earth, and this is ETH. What a beautiful coin, and what a way to represent it. You know, you can't represent it any better than this. So let's get into this. Now, I assume this is a April Fool's joke, but again, nothing wrong with being gay. I just found this hilarious that they built this thing today. Okay, so I found it quite funny, and that he's come out. He looks quite cool with the earring and the gold chains. Anyway, let's not digress. Let's look at ETH. So there is a little bit of pumpage coming at the moment on ETH, and I don't want to get euphoric. So my plan for ETH is still 1.5 to 1.6, looking for longs. If I need to be corrected, that's great. I'll be looking for longs above 2,100 or above 2,400. Until that time, I'm not doing anything with ETH other than remaining in my current hedge short that I have in play from 2,100. So ETH can do what it wants up to the 2-1. We'll start reassessing later on, because you might find if things turn mega bullish, let's just give the bull case here. If things turn mega bullish, you probably break through that 2-1. Then you get some kind of flag and consolidation, and then pop. Then you've got another move. Okay, so we can play that later on. There's no rush to get into ETH. I think time and time again, it's been proven that getting too excited about ETH is actually a disease. Okay, so let's just be patient with this thing. Let it play out a little bit. 2-1, 2-4, resistance zones, 1.5 to 1.6, long zones. Simple, keep it very simple. Okay, let's talk SOL. This was one of our longs from yesterday. And look, not the best performer, but a performer nonetheless. It's like a Volkswagen. You know, it's not the sexiest thing you've ever seen, but here it is, breaking trend. It's trying to do a little bit of something here for us. So right now, this thing is sitting at our first resistance band. You can see it's a little bit underneath at the moment, but yeah, I mean, in terms of SOL, can it go higher? Well, you can see on the 2-hour, getting a little bit tired, okay, like it could potentially want to roll over. Let's see where we are on the 4. Are we getting a move? So the 4-hour tells me there's potentially a little bit more breathing room. So you might still have time for SOL to print divergence, and that might result in a new high for SOL. So you may see something like this on the 4-hour, a little bit of fuck around, and then maybe one more pop, and then this thing can come down. Okay, so looking for something like that on the SOL trade. So no changes here. And in terms of support, well, you want to watch these lows from today, that big sell-off at 124. Use that as your potential support. So you close under 124. Then we are off. But in terms of new trades for SOL, not yet. Okay, it's not in my short zone yet, and it's not in my long zone. So we need to just kind of let this one sweat out now a little bit more. But just bigger picture, guys, remember our SOL on the weekly, the big level is 110. That's a major weekly level at around 110 to 112. You can see that. That's going to be our line in the sand. So if it turns out, if we get lucky, okay, if we get lucky, we get a pump out of SOL today into one of these zones, 132, 138. That could potentially be a short that sends you to 80. Okay, really, literally to 80 on SOL. So I just want to plant that seed here, that one or two of these shorts that we might get today could literally be the short you tell your grandkids about. Okay, so just look out for that. We're going to see if it's going to play out. And Liquid Lycan says, straight facts, leverage is torture, but I love it. It's absolute torture, but it's so euphoric, isn't it? Okay, so guys, you've got your support for SOL. You can see I'm bearish on SOL. Here's our rising trend. And if we do pump up at the extremes, 137 for me, that's the big one. Okay, 137. Yeah, I'm not expecting much more than that. Okay, especially leading into tomorrow. Let's talk things like BONK. Here's a short setup for you guys as well. And I really think this is on. If we can pump into this 125 to 127 for BONK. So I've given you guys two options here. And again, I'm not trying to pick the exact top, but I've given you two options. Now, there's a couple of ways you can do this. What you can see on the 2-hour is that there are reversal prints starting for BONK. Now, if this theory plays out, that we have one more pump and then tomorrow the market's disappointed, there's a big sell-off, well, for me, that's going to be a short, either at this 125 to 127, or it's going to be at this 136 to about 138, somewhere in that region. Alternatively, what you could do, which obviously adds to your risk, is start laddering into a position on any strength. But that will mean you need to build a position over about a 10% move. So that is a slightly different risk profile how you do it, and it's going to have to start with a much smaller position. Now, if you want to play the degen game, these are the areas that I typically look for. So you're going to have a stop loss of about 3% in that first zone, and you can have a stop of about 3% in that second zone. But what you can do as well is let it pump into these areas, and then you can ladder into those zones. So your first entry will be the 3% risk. Your last entry will be, say, 0.5% or something like that. And then if you get a candle close above those zones, then you kind of bail out of these trades. Okay, so for me, shorts, I like to ladder into them and just slowly just start adding as it goes up. And then hopefully it falls over. I use my oscillators as the guide, and they normally tell us a nice story. So in terms of BONK on the 4-hour, let's just take a look. And we want to see, is there more momentum? So we could see yesterday we had the beautiful reversal on BONK, and BONK hasn't yet reversed on the 4-hour. So this tells me there could be some more upside here before this thing falls over. So not in a rush to enter here where we are with BONK. So I would say 125 to 127 makes sense to me. You can see my alarm is on, and then 135 to 138. Those are the two big zones that I like in terms of a bonk short, okay? And that is just the bearish theory here. You can see we've got a rising trend in play, lost the trend, retest, bang, okay, send us to hell. That's pretty much what we're looking for there on bonk. Okay, so I'll make sure this chart is in hackers for you guys. And now let's talk a couple of things. So here's some trades on L-Bank that I'm involved in. Sonic. Okay, got a short building, got that chart for you coming in hot now. That's our second reaction off the hot zone that I'm going to give you guys. Sui, look at that, it's starting to print now. $2,600 up. That is starting to make money. Fartcoin, I've just added to another short area on Fartcoin. I've got that chart for you guys. Sui head short that I've started opening now. Markets pumping, feeling euphoric, making money. Well, either TP or start looking for some head short. So starting a head short here on Sui. You can see that's going on. Sol from yesterday. I've been adding. You can see that's substantially bigger than it was yesterday. Tao, thanks to Chaos from yesterday's trade. Thank you, sir. That thing is green. ETH short still in play. Bitcoin short. You can see I've got a Bitcoin short here as well off that VWAP. So looking to grow this thing. Let's see where we go on BTC. So you can see right now a little bit underwater, but you guys have got the levels, you know what we're going to be playing off. Okay, so let's talk Sui and let's have a look. So Sui on the 2 hour in terms of reaction zones and hot zones playing out, well, I'd say it's a banger. And we've got our first rejection earlier today. So just look as to where we are. We've lost our rising trend. We had a beautiful pump into that area. So for me, it's a bearish retest now, but things are getting interesting because it has blown through this current trend resistance. So it is an interesting place where we are on Sui. But in terms of the zones giving us a reaction, you can see we pumped into this VWAP beautifully, and we got a rejection earlier today. Let's just take a look and just see the types of the moves that these guys are giving us. Look at that. They give you a 3.6% rejection in those zones. Then they consolidate a little bit and they have a second go, and now they're pushing up. But what we do know is Sui is potentially going to start getting tired, and we're going to look for that divergence, and then we're going to really start either taking or closing that trade in full, and then looking for this divergence play, and then taking advantage of a possible short back to the downside. Okay, so Sui, you can see the big zones here. So anybody looking for some head shorts out of Sui, there's two more big zones for us. Number one, 258 makes sense to me. Okay, that's a 618. That's the top of these horizontals. That's also a wick fill in that region. So that could come into play. A little bit of danger for me. This candle, okay, is a bit of a problem. Okay, like if you get momentum in that type of area, you probably see quite a fast move to the upside. So just be careful. If you are shorting this guy at 258, just monitor that thing live or have a hard stop in play in case they get a little bit too aggressive to the upside, because then anyone still long is going to print, but you're going to move into last week's big short zone, which was one of two big short zones. This 2.8 from last week, that was an absolute banger, and I suspect you'll be able to short that one again. So 2.73 to 2.8 is going to be the next big danger zone. So don't get yourself in a tangle. What do we say? Don't get your titties in a tangle in these things. You can see the clear big zones here. These are your big danger zones to watch, and those are the areas where you can sniff around. So for me, as long as the Sui keeps pushing up, that's good. And as it keeps grinding, we keep adding to that short. We start growing a nice short size on this thing. Okay, so that is the game plan there, and hopefully, well, maybe Bitcoin falls over here. Okay, let's go. Let's look at the next one, Sui. So I've broken this thing down into the 30 minutes. I want to give you guys a degen play. Now, what I want to show you is when you're in a little bullish uptrend, now, even if it lasts 6 hours, like you've seen today, there's often opportunities to grab little scalps as long as you do it strategically. Now, what the mistake people often make is they start jumping in and they don't know where to jump in, and they wreck their entries and they get reckless entries on these things, and then they end up getting hurt. Like, I'm sure there's a lot of people trying to be long now on Sui, where, remember, the best longs were on these dips, on all these pullbacks. Those are the best longs that you're going to get. So if you're longing these things now, you obviously expose yourself to a little bit of risk. So what I want to give you guys is a degen play for people looking for longs. Okay, so remember, I'm pretty bearish on the market as a whole, and if there is going to be another push into tomorrow, maybe you're going to get yourself a situation like we had today, where you have a short-term dip, and then one more pump. So for example, we pushed into a resistance band today. We had a short-term little dip, and then we had a big market pump. Now, if we get something like that, well, then you can ride this thing up a few more percent to one of those big zones that I've given you, 2.58, 2.7 to 2.8. So how do you do that safely? What is the safest way that you can do that? And remember, like I say, everything in between these big areas feels like noise to me. I don't like operating if we're not in one of these zones. So let's start building a little position here for you guys, and let's just see where some of our big hitters are. Okay, you can see there we go, and that makes sense to me. So let's bang out our DGen 236 as well. Oh, okay. So in terms of DGen plays, if you're looking for a trade, this is basically how you should view it, and this is how you should do it. Is the trade in your area? Yes or no? If no, don't take the trade. Do you love that token? Do you always want to trade that token? Yes. Is it in your area? Yes or no? If no, don't take the trade. Don't force a token. Find something else that is sitting in a hot zone. Find something else that is sitting in a good area. Now, you can see, there's two zones here where you could potentially look to accumulate a position or look to strike for some kind of bounce. You can see we've got a rising trend in play. As you can see here, this trend is rising. So you could potentially play this trend until it breaks and then starts going back to the downside. Obviously, we can never decide when the trend is going to end. We can only react accordingly. So in terms of 𝗬𝗍, where can you get this if we're going to have one more move? So for me, 2.4 down to 2.39, 2.44 down to 2.39. That looks reasonable to me if this trend is going to continue. So you want to make sure you're holding that 2.39 or at least closing above that type of area, and then you're potentially holding that trend for one more push. Now remember, as a trend starts grinding higher, you can see what happens. Up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, and then eventually it's down, 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 especially in these conditions. So, every time, this trend has been hit multiple times, if you're trying again on this one, it could be the one that fails. So make sure that you are using risk management. You have your stops in play under some key areas. So potential DGen long, 2.44 to 2.39. Look for a close above that 2.39. I mean, obviously, you guys, you understand these wicks. You've been watching long enough. They can come and stop hunt you and come and play with these wicks. But ultimately, you want to see the candle close above those types of areas. And that could be your ticket then for 𝗬𝗍 to 2.7, 2.8, that type of region potentially. Okay, so that's what you're looking at. Gillam says, is it time to short TON? It probably is. If it's done anything like the rest of the tokens in the market, it probably is. Let's talk PEPE. Okay, very similar setup. Who saw this from yesterday? Same story. Rising trend has been lost. All we're looking for now is a retest of the trend, and then we want a continuation to the downside. Why does this make sense? Well, look at this. If the chart was inverted and we had a beautiful pump to the upside and this was a breakout, what would we normally be doing? We'd say, wait for the retest, and then you're looking for the bounce, either there or either there. That's pretty much how you would approach this thing if you were looking for a new entry. So let's flip this back over. Let's look at PEPE and say, okay, am I being a little bit too bullish here if, I'm trying to ape long this thing? So just be cautious. You can see the current situation in terms of rejection zones. Here we go. 8.0, you can see that's coming into play. That's our 50-day MA, danger zone for me, and 8.3, danger zone for me to the upside. Those are the two big ones that I would pay attention to. So PEPE leaning more shorty than longy now. Obviously, we've had a 10% pump. That would take us 12. That would take us 17. That's a nice move. And then at some point, you tend to get the pullback. Okay, one of these should give you some kind of pullback there, and then we reassess where we are. So in terms of PEPE, I've got a nice long here at the moment. You can see the head short is in play. Where's this long here? Let's see where it is. There she is. Okay, there's the PEPE long, and been growing a bit of the size there on this thing. It's starting to print a little bit here, but again, I'm not trying to get married to this thing. We need to start planning what happens next. Okay, so in terms of rejections, 80, 83, watch those areas. If it does pump higher, guys, I mean, this oscillator is going to be so overcooked that it's going to be inevitable that you're going to see something. Remember, what you want to see is a lower high on that oscillator, something like that. Okay, and the price going higher, bang, that's your short. Okay, that's kind of what you want to look for. Welcome to the danger zone, says Alex Wells. But yeah, guys, that's the plan on PEPE. I'm going to drop that for you in chart hackers as well. So no fresh longs for me reasonably that I can see. Okay, the longs were from yesterday, and thanks to Chaos he gave longs on AVAX. Tao, what else did he give yesterday? He gave a couple of longs, some nice movers there yesterday, thanks to him. Okay, now, PEPE on the lower time frame. I've broken this down for you guys as well. So the same way we did 𝗬𝗎, I just want to give you a more surgical view on this, and just so you can see how to play these trends. So hopefully you're going to learn something out of this. Now, we've noticed that over the last 2 days, we've had PEPE pushing in a rising trend, just like all these other tokens. How do you do this? How do you play the trend? How do you get your trades? Well, I just want to show you something really, really simple today. So this is PEPE on the 30 minutes, and you can see what's happened here. We've pulled our fibs from the low to that previous high. So you can see when we had that rejection, what happened? All it did was fall over onto 382 VWAP, bang, okay, and it bounced. So very simple game plan here, and you probably get your reversal on the oscillator on lower time frames, dropping into those types of areas. So you got to play with these oscillators. You got to look for these reversal plays at the bottom. Now, it wasn't clear on that one, so you're forgiven, for not grabbing that. But you can see VWAP 382 horizontal. If it's going to remain in its trend, this is typically where this thing bounces. Okay, so just that type of thing you want to be looking for in the market. And then as this thing starts going higher, if your conviction remains bullish, then you play that trend until the trend breaks. Like, you can keep riding this thing because this trend might continue forever. You never know. But in terms of how this could play out, you've got your rising trend, bang. And what you can do is you just follow that trend. So you can then follow your fibs higher, higher, higher. So you can drag them up there, okay? And then you readjust your key levels there. You're going to watch that VWAP come higher. And then if there is some kind of rollover here, you're going to look for a bounce off that 382. And you want to see that thing holding to the upside until eventually the trend falls over and you start the process again, okay? And that is where these shorts come into play, because one of these zones is where the trend falls over, and then that trend becomes a downtrend back to the downside. Okay, so that's kind of how I'm planning this whole thing at the moment. So look out, guys. Those are your short zones. Here's your degen long zone. You got to wait for that dip first to be absolutely safe on these things. So in terms of a dip now on PEPE, 74 looks like a reasonable area at the moment. You can go a little bit more degen, but remember, if you're going more degen, you are adding risk. You stand the risk of losing money. Okay, so you go 236 and you can see 76. That makes sense to me as well. So PEPE long, degen long, 76,744. That's the most bullish I can give you. 76,744. Remember, yesterday we looked at a similar situation. We were looking for pullbacks here. Where were we yesterday? Yeah, it was here. We were looking for this move there. Okay, we were looking for a pump and a bounce. Okay, that is now played out. Now you can do that again until that fails on that thing. Okay, Drip says pump that 89K. He's quite bullish. He's quite bullish there. Okay, let's talk hot zone indicator. So those of you that have done the accelerator course, you probably know, if you were in the workshop today, if you're doing the accelerator course and you're either in chart hackers or you're in prime, or you're in the chart prime stuff from the accelerator, you're going to get some exclusive access to the hot zone indicator in some way, shape, or form. Now, we've got two versions at the moment. We've got our basic test version, and then we've got the more advanced one that we are developing as we go. And you're going to get some kind of exposure to this one. But I just wanted to show you guys in action here. This is Sonic, and all it did was pump into our hot zone. You can see the hot zone lit up with a flame, and it's given us a couple of secret symbols here that indicate the strength of it. So we're working on that for you guys, also to show you the conviction of the area, and you can see it's rejected in that zone, and also a nice little rejection off that area. Let's see, a 5.4% just off that hot zone there that's come out. Now, a couple of changes I'm going to make. Most importantly, you see that flame. If it's a high conviction zone, I actually want it to be an eggplant. It's very important that you see this eggplant. Wait, can you take this? Can you take that comment off there so we can see the eggplant? There's the eggplant. There it is. You're going to move the comment, James. There it is. Okay, so it's going to be a high conviction key symbol there for us is going to be the eggplant. I think it's very important that we stick that one there. Okay, so 𝗬𝗎, I keep saying 𝗬𝗎, Sonic. In terms of Sonic, this is now in a bearish zone. You can see we're moving into a danger zone here, and I said on the 1 hour moving into danger zone. Let's pull out the one. And let's just see where we are on this guy. Okay, so this 1 hour is actually starting to fall over now. So what I would suggest here, you want to look for this divergence. So you might get a push up here, probably a lower high. And if you get one more push on this S, you're probably going to get a nice short in play on this thing. So I would watch here. anything up to 53, 54, for me, that's you close above that, it's a little bit more bullish. But I would say 53, 54, that's a nice short zone here for this S, looking to send it lower. If you close above 54, guys, it's probably grinding higher, and then you want to start identifying your next zones to the upside. So it's the same principle every time. We understand, we can see this token has lost a rising trend. We have now dropped. Now we want to retest, and we're looking for a bearish move to the downside. So that bearish move typically comes off one of these three zones that you can see. So it's 52 to 53, it's 55, and it's going to be around 57 to 59. Those are the three big reaction zones that probably feed you a really nice short to the downside. Okay, so watch that. I am in a short at the moment on this S using that indicator. Close above 54. I'm going to just jump out of that one. Okay, so watch that one play out. And then Fartcoin. Now, I told you I was short, or added to a short on Fartcoin, keeping this super simple, guys. So this was the setup I dropped in Chart Hackers earlier today. I said I want to see a pullback on this thing before we can get long. Okay, so there were signs of a reversal, as you can see on that oscillator, and it rejected at a typical region, a 618. Now we know Fartcoin loves a couple of fibs, 618. It loves a bit of VWAP. It loves a bit of horizontal. In fact, it loves a bit of TA. Why is that? Because there's so much volume getting traded in Fartcoin at the moment. I don't know why, but people love trading Fartcoin. Makes big moves. You can make nice profit out of it, but you can also get wrecked. Okay, there's massive moves on this thing. So just play safely on this. I must say, I definitely prefer longing this thing, and I prefer waiting for it to come to me. But it was too obvious in that zone not to look at a potential rejection there. Now I did drop a lot of these ideas in Chart Hackers earlier today. You can see here's all the charts that I looked at, drop these short zones for you guys. Here's this Fartcoin chart right here. Okay, so we were looking for reversals there in that area, and all that information is getting dropped into Hackers for you from myself, obviously, every day. And then we've got, you can see we've got so much going on here. We've got a massive team looking after you guys with some absolute savages in that area. Okay, so Fartcoin, I'm going to hold this short. Where's the next long? So long for me, guys, we're looking for pullbacks. Look at this VWAP. I just want to highlight this for you because I think this could be a little banger coming in for you guys. And what you want to do is track this VWAP. We know Fartcoin loves that VWAP from a local low. So let's see if we can get this guy. Look at that. Okay, so this is starting to look like a zone of interest for us. So if we're going to remain bullish and if we're going to keep pushing up this trend, Fartcoin, you don't want to go much lower than, I'd say, 46. And at an absolute push, 447. Okay, so look for this Fartcoin. Let it come to us. Let it drop into that zone there. Okay, look for some kind of bounce there or some kind of bounce in that region. So 46, 4667 to 447. And remember the rules with trading things like Fartcoin: small position, big move. Okay, we ladder in on super low leverage in a nice area. We don't try and get it precise on 1%. We look at a zone and say, okay, this area is 3 to 5%. Are we going to get our reversal on the 1 hour in the zone? Are we going to print divergence? And you can ladder in really slowly on those areas, because we know when Fartcoin rips, it gives you 10, 15% in one move, and you can make some money, but you got to be super careful in those areas. Okay, so where would I do that? Well, for me, 4667 to 447, that's the first bullish area that I would look at. Now, obviously, if it starts losing these types of levels, it's going to get ugly. So you want to make sure that you're getting some kind of reversal on the oscillator as well, on lower time frames and things like that. But yeah, that's the setup there on Fartcoin. I'll make sure this is obviously in Chart Hackers for you guys. Okay, looking, what was that comment? Looking to long something? What's that? Looking to long something called Fartcoin it's so crypto. I mean, isn't this ridiculous? It's so crypto that we're playing things like Fartcoin. How can I sit at a table with my gran or my aunt and tell them I trade Fartcoin? I mean, who does that? Who can actually do that? They're going to really think you are emotionally retarded and probably just retarded at the same time.
And they may not be wrong.
And they may not be wrong. That is the exact point that I'm trying to make. Okay.
My butthole position is shrinking badly, though, I'll have to say.
So guys, that is, look, pretty much, I don't want to overwhelm you with too much stuff today. You've got my sentiment. Okay, obviously I could be wrong, but what we're seeing at the charts is super bearish. This pump here for me, pumping into these zones, I'm not convinced. Okay, so building these head shorts, going to be taking some more profits. Like I've closed BONK already. I closed some PopCat earlier today, things like that. And we probably, if we pump some more, going to start clipping off as we go. Okay, remember, the market is so choppy. I don't want to get married to shorts. I don't want to get married to longs. I just want to be reactive and do whatever they give us. At some point, there's going to be a mega pump in the market. We know that. At some point, there may still be a mega dump as well. So we want to be prepared both ways. Don't over leverage up, don't over leverage down. You know the drill. And when the time is right, we're obviously going to start cooking again. Okay, guys. Lots of bowel movement today in preparation for tomorrow. Tomorrow's an interesting day, let's say the least. Okay, pump in tomorrow. If we carry on pumping in tomorrow, I think we're shorting that thing. If we're selling hard into tomorrow, then I think we're looking for long. Okay, simple. Okay, see you guys.
Juice